farcical, so unpredictable, here on the SNL Network.
Yes, welcome everybody to the Patron Feedback Show for week number 15, covering the Zoe Kravitz and Rosalia episode of Saturday Night Live. It's been an incredible week. It's been an incredible month talking about SNL. I feel like SNL is back, and maybe some people feel like it never left, but I don't know. I just felt like the ups and downs and stuff, and we're on a good pace, and I'm excited to see what's going to happen as we continue to go through the season. And if it's your first time checking out a Patron Feedback Show, welcome on in. We're here with some of our great patrons to answer your questions about the week in Saturday Night Live, go over what's happening in social media. And this is always a really fun podcast because it's very casual, very fun to have that discussion about what's happening as we look towards April. So let's bring in two of our patrons that have joined us previously on the Patron Feedback Show. First up is my man Ike Moore. Ike, how are you?
Hey, yo, back at it, man, on the Patron Feedback Show. It's great to be here. What a blessing it is to talk once again to the great fans of SNL. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so thrilled to have you on the show, Ike. You're always so much energy, so it's really great to hear from you and hopefully get some really fun takes about SNL. So we don't only have Ike here, we also have my man Brennan, the king of SNL Reddit. Brennan Keller, how are you?
Me. I'm doing good. I was not expecting that title, but I'll take it. So yeah, I went with the Reddit username instead of the Twitter handle today because I was like, let's mix it up a bit. So you can find me on the Live from New York subreddit every week, every new episode week with the new discussions and helping sort what were the best sketches from that week. So it's good to be here. Glad to be back.
100%. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about how we're feeling about SNL right now. And Ike, I'll start with you. It's been a while since we heard from you on the show. I think going back to the Billie Eilish episode potentially. So it's been a little bit. Tell us what your thoughts are on season 47 since we last spoke.
Well, I'm happy to report, John, that my opinion has not changed. If you remember, I said that we are in a golden era of the show. I still believe that. Now, I'm going to be honest with you because I am honest with all of the SNL fans. I believe that the first half of the season was much stronger than the half we are in now. And, I'm not trying to look, I get situations happen and everything, but I feel like the Paul Rudd situation kind of like knocked the energy out of what the show was doing. Obviously, we can't prevent something like that. But the fact of the matter was, we were on this great streak, then that happens, and then there's this uncertainty of, are we going back to SNL at home? Or are we even going to have the rest of the season? People were a little unsure. Now, in January, we had fun shows in January. I loved the Ariana DuBois episode. I thought Will Forte did a good job hosting. I didn't love the episode, but I was glad that he got the opportunity to do what he probably always wanted to do, was host SNL. And then Willem Dafoe, it was cool. I don't know what I was expecting with Willem, but it was fine for what it was. And then we had the John Mulaney episode. And by that point, I said, this is the season 47. I know this is it. And then, it also helps when you have Conan, show back up at 30 Rock after how many years, that also helped it. Then we had Oscar Isaac, which hopefully I'll get a chance to talk about a little later on. But Oscar Isaac, I think, became like in ways the new Adam Driver, something like this actor you didn't even knew could do comedy shows up and just goes insane, blows it out of the park. And then, we'll talk about Zoe Kravitz. So it was I feel like this run of episode proved that season 47 is still a great time to be an SNL fan. I've become a little more critical about certain people in the cast, particularly the veterans, because last time I said, it's cool that we have this great mixture of new and old, but now I'm starting to see a few cracks, which I'll get into a little later. But overall, I'm real happy with where the show is right now.
Okay, I'm excited to hear that. It's a good tease for later on in the show. Brennan, let me get your thoughts. Are you as high on season 47 as Ike is?
It's that you can say that at least. I am very, very pleased with this season so far. I am, I'll just say, like, probably the hottest of takes here. there has not been an episode I've been able to call bad.
Okay.
Yep,
Even
nope, not that's it. That you can
Okay.
stop it there. Nope, I've enjoyed myself with every episode. These last 3 in particular, for sure, I would agree with that as well.
Interesting.
It's so good. It's so good. That's it. I'm done.
All right,
I'm done.
and you know things, and Brennan, we haven't spoken to you since the Simu Leo episode. I mean,
Yep.
I never know because this is really the only time I get to like sit down and ask
Yeah.
some of our patrons what they really feel. I didn't know we were gonna get such a love fest about SNL, so this is kind of nice. I mean, obviously, there has been certainly some issues that
Mhm.
we'll tackle and stuff like that, but overall, I do think that good vibes are there for the most part with this season. So let's dive into the Zoe Kravitz episode that we saw this weekend. And I don't know, Ike, and Brennan, if you had a chance to listen to what I said on the roundtable on Monday, but what I can say is that this episode was probably the most polarizing episode of the season for me. I think that if I go back to the Kim Kardashian episode, I think I was saying similar stuff that week, but obviously more of a big name controversial star in a sense that was hosting the show, so it was naturally going to be polarizing from even before the show happened. But coming out of this show, I can't tell you how many people told me they hated this episode, but then I had so many people that said this was their favorite of the season. So
Yep.
I still don't know why that is, but all I do know is from 2 people who love the season so far, maybe you 2 can help me figure that out. So Ike, do you want to venture, you want to give us your thoughts on the Zoe Kravitz episode and maybe help us figure out why people found this episode so polarizing?
Okay, so when I initially watched it, similar to the Billie Eilish episode, when I first watched it, I thought, okay, this episode's not bad. It's about the show I expected. That's not a diss at Zoe Kravitz at all. It's just that, we have these 2 great, strong shows. So I'm expecting the third one to sort of be like a little, okay, and then we'll take the hiatus, And at the time when I watched it, I thought it was cool. I thought Zoe was very game. She was very solid to just go with anything they threw at her. I did like the returns. I'm just going beat by beat. I did like the return of the whole cast host monologue. I know that's a very polarizing thing. Some people like it. Some people think it's hokey. I'm not going to say it's the best written monologue. I'm not going to say it's the best jokes, but it's just something. It's just after you've seen multiple monologues of just the host talking and being personal, which nothing wrong with that. I felt like this was a nice return. They're like, oh, this is cool. I like seeing that more of the host and cast interactions. We just now see them in the promos now. We don't really get to see them on the actual show as much. So it was nostalgic in a way to see that. And I just feel like even in the rewatch, I rewatched the episode earlier today. I did like the wedding toast. I don't know what a choke pony is, and I do not want to know what a choke pony is. I think I'm cool on that.
I guess we can't answer that question for that we got to our patron feedback questions today. What is a choke pony?
Oh, yeah. I don't know, and you don't need to know either. I did love the Amazon Go sketch. That was the sketch of the night for me. Cool. Because I've worked in the Amazon before where we don't have necessarily that, but we have something similar to that. So it's the same type of, I've had those same type of reactions with certain customers. I can tell you that. So that not a single thing is fictional on there. And I thought it was just a decent episode. I think the weakest one, unfortunately, if I had to pick, I hate picking on these 2. I think it was I don't even know what you called it, because John, you said it was recurring sketch. The one where they were on the porch, Kate and Zoe. What's the name?
Yeah, Study Buddies, they called it.
Yeah, I didn't even know that happened before. I must have missed the episode. I'm like, I get what they're trying to do here, but this is going to go with what I'm trying to say before. While I feel like, as far as the veterans, while I feel like Kate and Keenan have really shown that they still have a lot of juice left in this show. They still have a lot to offer this show. I feel like people like Aidy and Cecily, I think we've seen not to be rude, but I think we've seen enough of them. I think if we had to pick and choose veterans at this point, I think Cecily and Aidy, they can pretty much they can call it a wrap in May. But I feel like people like Kate and Keenan, that this episode proved, especially Keenan. But Keenan at this point, what can you say about Keenan? He's just amazing. Right. He just those two I feel like have proven more than any of the veterans that if they want to do one more season, and it's hard to tell nowadays because cast members now stay on for like eons, but if they want to do one more season, I feel like season 48, I would love for them to do one more season. If I had to say, Kate and Keenan, if they want to do one more season, I'm all for it.
I think that I always say I think Kate and Keenan are two separate categories potentially, but not sure exactly why, but I just think Keenan has like cast member emeritus status where he just like is beyond criticism at certain points.
Oh yeah, whereas, he probably has the keys to Rockefeller Center. He lets everybody. No employee of 30 Rock can go into the building until Keenan gets there and unlocks the door.
100%. Yeah, it's Daddy Keenan for everybody, and like he comes in there, he makes the rules. But Brennan, I got to get your thoughts on the Zoe Kravitz episode. I really want to hear what your thought of the episode.
I was very high on this episode. Not a lot I can say that I really disliked about this episode. There are two things that weren't brilliant in my opinion, and I know we'll get to that. I was more in favor of Study Buddies than you were, Ike. I really enjoyed the first one. I like this one as well. I think Kate. Honestly, I'm still on the Kate and 80 train where they can just play off each other, and it's very funny to me still. So I really enjoy that. Every sketch had something that I enjoyed, for sure. I don't think this is my best episode that had a run of sketches, but this is honestly top three episodes in terms of sketches for me.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I saw It's Saturday Night in the chat said it was near the bottom for him. Nick in the chat also said it was near the bottom for him. So this is an example of what I'm talking about, where this episode was so different in terms of opinions. It's really fascinating to talk about. But we're going to get into these sketches. We'll answer your questions, and I think we should do that by starting with the feedback slides that we have, which we'll show you from our social media, and then we could talk about some of these sketches as we go. Okay, guys?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's start with our monologue, which, like Ike said, I mean, a different monologue that we've seen this season. That was something a little bit unexpected. We were used to the hosts, especially first-time hosts, talking about their history and stuff like that. I was thinking and hoping maybe we would get some talk about Zoe's parents, especially because Lenny Kravitz has been a musical guest a couple times. He's been in sketches, but we didn't really get any of that. Instead, we got cast members returning to the monologue. And here on our screen, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, we brought up at Heidi L. Gardner on Instagram, put a very cute photo of her and the cat from the monologue. I met the star of the monologue. I love you, Arlo. Heart emoji. We have writer Alex English. A lot of people were asking, who was that? Why was an audience member petting the cat in the monologue? Well, that was actually the writer Alex English, who was sitting there petting the cat that walked by in 80 Bryant's character's cart, where he wrote petting some pussycat on national TV. So let's do some quick monologue thoughts. Brendan, I'll start with you on this one. Thoughts on the monologue?
I could tell that Zoe Kravitz was nervous in the monologue, so I think it was good that they said, you know what, we can change the feel this season. Let's go for a monologue that has a whole bunch of, cameos isn't the right word, but just a monologue that has more jokes that don't really revolve around the host being the main character of the monologue. So they went with this, and I think that the Catwoman and Catwomen was a good way to do that for sure.
Yeah, Ike, what do you think?
I hinted on it before. I do feel, again, not the best written monologue, but maybe it's the fact that we don't really get to see these monologues in season 47. So seeing the whole cast come out, well, not the whole cast, but you know what I'm saying, the cast members come out and just do some crazy stuff. It was nice to see. I am a little skeptical sometimes when it comes to live animals and live TV, but cats are normally cool, so I don't have a problem with this. If for whatever reason we had another dog sketch, I'd be like, okay, we're railing this out of control. Special shout out to Chris Redd doing his best Cat Williams impression, but that is not Jay Farrow. That is not gonna work. I'm not hating on it, but it's like, come on, man, you can't. Can Jay couldn't make a quick trip to New York to do that one line we had?
Well, if we're gonna do a cat thing, I think this got brought up at some point, but like, how do you not do a Whiskers Are We sketch? And I know, like, we've seen it a lot, and it goes against the whole talk about Kate and recurring sketches and stuff like that.
I love it. It's one of my favorite recurring sketches ever for me.
It felt like a little bit of missed opportunity, especially in the monologue. Perhaps even not having a Whiskers Are We sketch, but having the Barbara Drew, is that what it is, character come out for the monologue. I felt like that could have been cool instead of having Kate as one of the various cat women. But yeah, let's keep going. Let's talk about what else we have here. And then we have some backstage shots. So these are really fun that we get sometimes. If you want to check out the cast members on Instagram, we have at Eggy Boom getting ready to do something where we see Chloe Fineman dancing backstage. I assume this is prior to the cold open. We have Faye Dunaway, which is Bowen Yang and Ego and Punky. A lot of people dancing backstage. So it's always fun to see the good vibes around 8H, and I encourage you, if you are a listener, just to follow them on social media, just to see about the process as things go. We also have a photo from Sarah Squirm as well, Sarah Sherman. Okay. We also have this from Melissa Villasenor, where she is dressed as the let's see if I get this right, the Chupapi Muñano. I'm butchering it, but yes, that from the cold open at Melissa V Comedy on Instagram. So let's get the thoughts on the cold open. Like, how do you feel about that?
I don't know if I mentioned this last time. I'm not always the biggest fan of cold opens because I'm not as into politics as I once was. So it's like, all right, it's cool. It serves its purpose. This, however, this cold open was one of the better ones because I'm like, okay, now you're mixing what's going on in politics and you're blending in with the TikTok. So it's like, it was really like very funny. I think the MVP of this sketch is Kate McKinnon with I can't remember the character's name. I'm sorry. Patty something.
Kate McKinnon played press secretary Jen Psaki.
Oh,
talking about that?
Close to right, but
yeah,
you can tell I don't watch news much, but I feel like her reactions to everyone just being like, "Oh, are you serious?" Her exasperations just helped it. And I'm gonna write a petition. I know I picked on Chris Redd, but can we just have Jason Derulo be his recurring character? I don't care if he's on Family Feud. I don't care if he has a weekend update and he just says Jason Derulo. Just have him do something.
Jason Derulo.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't get an opportunity to play that on the roundtable this week, but yeah, that one was.
Let them tell a whole story just singing Jason Derulo, different variations of Jason Derulo, please.
For sure. I mean, Brendan, this was a big topic of debate on our roundtable this week, which was, should SNL be tackling TikTok stuff, or is it can they go after the younger generation for things like this? My answer was a clear yes, but how do you feel about it?
Well, we're there. It's fine. It's really popular. It's really easy to do. They did it really well with the Billie Eilish episode, and this one I thought was I was a fan of this cold open. I like. I'm with the cold opens right now. I really, really like James as both Biden and as Trump. And I like that we're still going about 50-50 each one, depending if he shows up as Trump or he shows up as Biden this time. I was a big fan of him and Kate as Jen Psaki in this one, especially where Jen has to explain his mannerisms to the younger crowd, where he goes, he says computer, but he means technology, and just stuff like that, because so out of touch and everything like that. And then when he actually noticed actually knew who one of the TikTokers was, that was pretty funny. I thought I was a big fan of this cold open. I did not know the references of any of the TikTokers except for the Charlie D'Amelio one with Keenan, but
yeah, I
was able to get the joke even being out of touch with TikTok, because it's popular enough that I know that these are the type of people that are on that platform, and I will be able to find them super easy by searching up something that one of the characters said, and I'll be able to know exactly how well they did that character.
I agree. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about this was a really, really incredible sketch. I think all around, I haven't seen a bad word about this sketch. And this is about the Amazon Go sketch that we saw that Ike referenced earlier. And writers of the sketch, one of them being Brian Tucker, the other one being Vanessa Jackson. Brian at B Tucker Time on Twitter wrote some insight into this sketch. On Tuesday, Vanessa Jackson and I write the script. Wednesday night, it's picked to be in the show. Thursday, the SNL film unit builds an entire Amazon Go store in one day. Friday and Saturday, the piece is shot and edited, directed by Adriana Robles, and the SNL film department is amazing. Chris Red at Red Said It says, written by the brilliant B. Tucker Time and the beast Vanessa Jackson and so many other brilliant folks to make this sketch happen. It's 6:46 a.m. and I'm not going to get these tags right, but laugh my ass off. This was damn fun. So Ike, you had mentioned that you had worked at an Amazon store before. So just general thoughts. I mean, this sketch was unbelievable.
Yeah. And it just shows this tweet right here shows you why we have to do 2 or 3 week breaks from SNL. Just the amount of work that went into this, just for maybe a day and a half shoot for a sketch that who knows, maybe they could have cut it. We don't know how SNL works. They could have cut this sketch like this, and then they do all this work, just for a sketch potentially to get cut or be put on the air. So this really shows the amount of detail that the crew goes to every single day when working on this show. And I wanna quote one of the panelists on the round table. I think it was I'm bad with names today. Haskell, I think what Haskell said, he said, the moment that Keenan shows up on screen, you know exactly where this sketch is headed. They didn't have to tell you nothing else. All you guys see is Keenan's face, and it's like, oh, this is what we're doing. Because I was slow at it at first. I'm like, okay, where are they going with this? Keenan shows up. I'm like, no, bro, we're not doing this.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think that was, definitely that was from our hot take show. But this is Keenan. Here, this is Keenan.
No.
No.
And then Chris Red come out. All right, putting the sandwiches back. I
am putting the sandwich back, y'all.
So good. Brendan, what were your thoughts on this sketch?
This one fluctuates between my absolute favorite from the episode, probably down to my third favorite. And that's really high praise because I really, 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 really like this pre-tape. It was, I mean, everyone, I don't know, I can say everyone, but when they announced the Amazon Go store, where you said, hey, you just have your phone and you can walk in, walk out, I think a lot of people went, oh, this would be a good SNL sketch. You can make fun of this pretty easy, especially with the way you're going to do this. And I mean, the idea behind it is something so random. And I mean, like Amazon's idea of it is just so crazy. I mean, they're making one, like the town over from me, so I'm gonna try that out someday. But it's such a
Brennan,
Amazon.
You will not have a problem shopping.
No, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone was really good in the sketch. Chris Red was really good when he's talking to Alexa or screaming to Alexa, and like Zoe Kravitz, I thought had one of her. What was really good in this one too, where she just goes, "Yeah, can you grab it?" Like, I'm not. No, I was a big fan of this one, and I love when a pre-tape just works. It was the perfect length. I love that. You need to have a good length for your pre-tape, and that was a really, really good length for that one. Yeah,
I agree.
Nothing really bad to say about it. There's just some biases that I had towards other sketches that either sometimes like move it up, move it down, depending on what I'm thinking. So,
for sure. Okay, so this is a sketch that we haven't really talked much about during the week. It kind of got, looked aside. And I'll be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I do understand that people enjoyed the passion behind it. And this is from writer Mike DiCenzo, who wrote this sketch with Bo and Yang. He said, on Monday, I found this marching band version of Don't Stop Believing. On Tuesday, I played it for at Faye Dunaway, Bo and Yang, and wrote this. Bowen absolutely crushes this performance. We then get another Instagram story from Mike DiCenzo and said, yes, it is truly spelt Belevin on Spotify. This is really funny. Ike, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the sketch, maybe you were higher on it.
I guess, yeah. I mean,
I'm asking. Were you? Yeah.
I thought it was fine. I mean, once you realize that this was the last sketch of the night, it was like, okay, there's something. I personally prefer when the show gets weird at this time, but it's like, okay, I get what it's cool to see Bowen have that last spotlight, that showcase. I think what made me laugh was I didn't even know that it was spelled like that on actual Spotify. So, like, to me, just the attention to detail, that shows you again how great the writing is, that they got every single detail right when it came to this sketch. And then, Zoe, again, being the game host, she was vibing with him at the end. It kind of reminded, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun by saying this, John, but it reminded me a tiny bit of the Peyton Manning sketch with Will Forte.
Yes, let's go, Ike. Let's go. That was where I was going. Exactly where I was going.
Are you serious? That is absolute 100%. Blasphemy. Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not saying it's like that sketch, but it gave me a similar feeling. The host just going with the insanity. That's like, I love when the host just in a sketch.
That's like saying, Ike. That's like saying going outside and throwing around a football gave you the feeling of playing in an NFL game. Like, that's not the same thing.
Or like or if you're Al Bundy, I scored 6 touchdowns in a single game. Okay.
Right. By the way, for the listeners who aren't watching and are just listening to the podcast, I am referring not to the Journey "Don't Stop Believing," but obviously the Ohio State University marching band on Spotify. That is literally spelled "Don't Stop Believin'." Let me throw out these other tweets that we got about this sketch, and then I'll go to you, Brennan, for your thoughts. But
yep.
At Ohio State, the University of Ohio State, we get it at NBC SNL. At NBC SNL, we have the same reaction every time we hear it. The Ohio State University marching band said the tubas are playing the bass line "Straight Fire" from NBC SNL last night. We believe you'll love this, Buckeye fans, #Go Bucks. So Brennan, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to be one of the ones that moves either Amazon Go up or down, depending on how I'm feeling. I was very, very high on this sketch. It was so dumb. And exactly what Ike said. It's the Will Forte, Peyton Manning one where they're just so hyped over a song that really isn't that hype. The Casino Royale theme, or the Casino Royale parody theme, where they're in the locker room, and I mean they're not dancing. They're not dancing.
Which, by the way, is my favorite sketch of all time. So that's
so
why
good.
I'm sensitive about it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's such a good sketch where it's just the part where Zoe Kravitz yells out, "I've never heard a song without lyrics before." It's just. It's a really well done, really dumb sketch. I was so excited when I looked up Spotify right away and saw that it was actually called "Don't Stop 11" and everything like that. And it was, yeah, it's nothing special, but at the same time, it was something stupid that I really, really thought was a good way to cap off a pretty great night. Yeah, for me personally.
And again, it's like I said, when the host gives into the insanity, that what makes it for me, because if the host isn't going to go with it, why should we?
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, it can't compare to something so beautiful as that locker room sketch, but it was special in its own way. And I know I'm making you so mad by saying it, but yeah,
you're not making me mad. You're not making me mad, but I just think that like the comparison in terms of sketch concept is probably apt, but in terms of sketch quality, I think is different.
Gotcha.
Okay, let's continue the love that we get to see from this episode from Zoe Kravitz's father, Lenny Kravitz. At Lenny Kravitz on Twitter says, "To see you shine in the same building where your grandparents met," which is something I didn't know, "and worked was surreal. You are perfection. I love you endlessly." This was really, really nice, guys.
Yeah, you love seeing the parents, show love like that, and while it would have been cool maybe to have him do a cameo, it's good. He said, "You know what? I'm gonna stand back. I'm gonna let her get all the shine tonight. It's not about me." So just to see that he was there in the building, to support her like that, that was beautiful. Hopefully, Lisa Bonet was there. You know, I haven't heard anything, but hopefully she had a big support group that night.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So this is the last one I added in here. This is we're not talking too much about the Pete Davidson Kanye West stuff, but so I'm going to refrain from having too much of a conversation. I know people are pretty tired about talking about it right now, and I know that Pete doesn't want to discuss it on SNL. But I do have to point out something that I thought was pretty funny that a lot of news outlets were pointing out today. Did Pete Davidson brand himself with Kim Kardashian's name on his body? That is something new that I don't think we had that information. So in the long line of things Pete has done in his personal life for women, I thought this was pretty funny. So that this is news to me. Let's not comment on the Pete Kanye situation, but anyone got anything interesting to say about this?
I love the Mars Attacks tattoo. Yeah, it's a great one, but
Yeah.
nothing else. Nope, I'm done.
Sure.
We'll leave that. We'll leave that to Hollywood Dish.
100%. Also, I believe Pete Davidson, I believe he's going as himself and not as Chad, but Pete will be going to space next week, if I heard correctly. So Hollywood Dish will not be on this week or next week, but I'm sure it'll be talked about. Yeah. Anyways, that was pretty funny. All good things for my man Pete. Okay, let's talk about the questions that you guys have sent in for the patron feedback show. Do you both have them up in front of you, Brennan and Ike?
Yep, I actually. Yep.
Brennan can go first. I'm gonna get him right now.
Okay, perfect. So, Brennan, do you want to read out our first question we got this week?
Yeah, it says, continuing your discussion on traditional female hosts hosting more often from the roundtable, which female hosts in the last 10 to 15 years do you think should come back soon?
And that is from our friend Jeremy Boulard. Okay, so Brennan, let's get started on these questions. Let's start with a continuing. The way that Jeremy asked this, I assume this is referring again to our roundtable. So he says, continuing your discussion on traditional female hosts. This was a big part of our conversation at the start of the roundtable on Monday. We kind of talked about how Zoe Kravitz is sort of the first traditional female host that we got this entire season. Kim Kardashian, obviously a huge name, but not your traditional actress. Billie Eilish, more of a musician. Ariana DeBose, though she is an actress, she's focused more in the Broadway space and probably one of the lesser known names we've had this season. So Zoe Kravitz with a new movie out being a traditional female actress, it's something that I did ask, why aren't we getting this more? So Jeremy would like to know about some other names that we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years that fit in this category that you would like to see host again. Brennan, I will start with you.
Emma Stone is probably my favorite female host that shows up all the time. So anytime she can come back is a huge plus. One of the first episodes I remember watching ever is an Anne Hathaway hosted episode, Thanksgiving episode. So it's interesting to say that one of the first episodes I ever watched was with a female host, since it's so nowadays it seems so not normal. It's overly like this year. Yeah, we need more female hosts, and I don't know why it's just not working out that way. But you see one every week, you go, oh, okay, well, we'll get one next week. Oh, we actually got one this week. Awesome, like that. So Emma Stone is my go-to. Geez, what do I want to think about?
I would say that Emma Stone is probably the modern day example of what we would look for. Emma Stone, Scarlett Johansson, I think are good examples.
It's such an easy answer, but
yeah,
it's a go-to answer, but it's a really good go-to answer. Yeah,
for sure. Ike, what about you? Any traditional female hosts from the last 10 or 15 years that you would like to see come back to the show?
I had a few of them. I tried not to go when I saw this question. I tried not to go to the Melissa McCarthy's or Tina Fey's. Look, we love them, but those are easy picks. I try to go to the ones people probably don't think about. So, granted, y'all said Emma Stone already. I mean, she's due for her 5th time. Miley Cyrus, I think, could come back, and host the show at some point. I would like to see Tiffany Haddish come back. She was back in, I believe it was, I'm trying to think of the year, 2017, I believe 2017. But I remember reading an episode, watching an episode of The Breakfast Club. She was interviewed. She said she wasn't the biggest fan of like put together per se. She wasn't a fan of how things were ending up. So, hopefully she did win an Emmy for that episode, so that tells you something. So hopefully we can see her come back. Jennifer Lopez, I really enjoyed her episode. So she hosted, I surprisingly liked that one. Aquafina, that was another one. That was another good one.
Hey, Ike, we are just losing you a touch with your microphone. I know you have some other options potentially. I'm sorry. We did catch a few of those, but I would love to go back to this question in a little bit and just make sure we just get all of your answers if possible. I don't know if you just want to switch devices or something like that, and we could try that again in just a few minutes. Okay. I was thinking
about I was thinking that the last vintage we had was Sandra Oh. Rewatching that episode, I thought she did a really good job. I would like to see her come back, especially with the new season of Killing Eve premiering soon. So that could be an option for upcoming hosts. But it really is interesting that you just see just some of the names they choose. It's either super big comedic female that we see every now and then, like we had like Aquafina a few years back too, same as Tiffany Haddish, or they go with a lot of people who aren't known for their comedy. I was just looking through previous seasons. We had like Claire Foy, Emma Thompson. That doesn't count because she is very, very funny. But like Claire Foy, that was one that I really liked that episode. But I'm just looking at all the names they choose for female hosts. A lot more broad choice of what they're either there for or what they're known for is what I'm seeing.
For sure. I would be really excited if we got Melissa McCarthy back.
Yep.
I think that
was going to be my next one too.
Yeah, that would be somebody that would be great in terms of the, like I said, traditional female hosts. Tiffany Haddish, obviously, I think Ike mentioned would be fantastic. So I think those are some options that could be really, really exciting.
Kristen
I'm sure
Stewart.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look to hopefully in the last 6, maybe to at least get 2 or 3 of those. I would be pretty happy with that.
Agreed.
Let's talk about the next question that we got here, and then we'll make sure to get more of Ike's picks when he is back online with us. So this next question comes in from Ryan Kashner, and Ryan says the Mulaney show brought back a concept/sketch that was on air for Cecily's 2nd season. I think he's referring to the dog food one. Are there any impressions or characters that Cecily, 80, or Kate has done that you'd like to see them bring back potentially as they start to finish their SNL careers?
Yeah, we talked about Whiskers Are We is one I really, really always enjoy. We got what else do we have? We have Kathy. So many good update characters for all 3 of these. We got Carrie Crum from the young traveler that 80 Bryant plays. Oh, there's so many good options for all these characters or for all these performers. And you know what? You could bring back, like I said, that dog food one from 5 years ago that maybe me and 3 or 4 other people recognize right away. But hey, I've seen Blue River dog food before. Let's see, why are they bringing this back? That's interesting. That you could just say, hey, I remember this character playing this few years ago, and now they're bringing it back. Or Kate and 80 have so many characters they do together on Update that they can shove in there one more time if they need to, or 2 more times just to finish off the season.
Yeah, I would agree. Ike, do we have you back?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Oh, it's perfect now. It's great.
Yeah, okay, better.
So yeah, so let's this is wonderful. So Ike, if you could just tell us anybody on the list that you didn't get to, and then we'll ask your answer to this question that we got here from Ryan.
Okay, well, which part did I lose, y'all? Was I talking about Tiffany Haddish or Jennifer Lopez?
You were talking about Jennifer Lopez. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was saying I really enjoyed her episode the last time she hosted. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it like I did, so I could see her come back. Aquafina, that was a fun one. That was early on that season that was on. And this last one, this is going to be a tad bit controversial because Pete is still in the cast as of now. Ariana Grande. Now,
Love it.
I know. Listen. I know at least until he leaves, they are not going to bring her back, and I understand that. But we cannot deny that the last time she hosted SNL, that was a fun episode. I believe every fan on this podcast and watching at home can attest to that.
I can definitely attest to that. Yeah, for sure. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I could definitely attest to it. All right. So, Ike, let's get this answer to this question from you. We had a question from Ryan who wanted to know, in reference to Mulaney episode, bringing back a very old reference to a Blue River dog food sketch that happened early on in Cecily's run. Are there any characters from previous years of the show that Aidy, Cecily, or Kate have done that you would like to see them bring back as they head towards the twilight of their SNL careers?
Well, I can specifically say Cecily. I would like to see the girl you didn't want to start a conversation with at a party. I think that she hasn't done that in how long? I don't even know when's the last time she did that. I think you bring that back in 2022, if this is her last season, and I don't know if it is. You bring it back in 2022 with everything that's happened, like what you now can and can't say now, is that you have her back on Update. That would be interesting. You know, if that is her swan song, if that's her swan song, wow, that would be crazy to see. As far as the other two, and this isn't me being mean. I just don't know anything. I would like to see Kate or Aidy do. I would say for Kate, Ellen, but Ellen now has a bad reputation. I don't know if you want to do that.
Well, we did see on the Jason Sudeikis episode, we saw Melon, the male Ellen. So
Yep.
You never know. Funny. Yeah, you never know what we can get. I think for me, my pick was going to be something that I saw Ken said in the chat, which was Girlfriend's Talk Show. I think that would be something that,
absolutely.
Yeah, that I could definitely, I would definitely like to see. I think maybe the porn stars, if we can get Vanessa Bayer back, I think that could be something fun. So those are some interesting options. We'll see if we end up getting some of that stuff as we head towards the end of the season as potentially an indicator of what's to come. Okay. This is a question from our friend Ken George Jones, and Ken asks, while Weekend Update has not been bad this season, it has been very much on autopilot for him and slips his mind more quickly each week. Do we want to see any changes in Update? And if so, what are they? So Brennan, any changes you'd like to see in Weekend Update?
So the part where he says it slips his mind, I don't really get where he's coming from with that, but the part I do get is that it's weekly news. So the news goes by so fast nowadays that you get all the jokes from last week and then you get the one next week and you're not thinking about the jokes from the week before with Weekend Update. At least that's what I'm getting. And then with the features they have, we didn't have any features. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago now? Not Zoe Kravitz.
No, I think it was a while ago. I thought it was a while back. We didn't get any features during Weekend Update. I'm trying to remember.
Oh, was I?
Maybe it was it might be the Mulaney episode. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was Mulaney.
That's
right. Yep. And where I'm not, it's not bad to say that, but I am not thinking about Weekend Update at all with that Mulaney episode, if that makes sense. I like the jokes there. Of course I'm gonna, if it pops up on the recommended, I'm gonna watch that Weekend Update that shows up there. But
for sure,
that was a Mulaney centric episode that was more about him and his sketches, and they skipped the parts that really make. Oh, it sounds bad. They're skipping the parts that make that week of Weekend Update memorable, because you go, oh, did you remember a few weeks ago when they had blank blank as the feature on Weekend Update? That was really funny.
Yeah, definitely. Ike, what are your thoughts on Weekend Update this season, and if there's any changes you'd like to see be made?
Okay, I have a change, and yep, people are not going to like this. If you had to change, first of all, they're not going to change it. I feel like Lauren and everybody, they're very comfortable with how things are right now. I don't see any changes. But if they are, I have one, and y'all are not going to like this. I would say just have Che anchor it alone. I know, I understand the chemistry. I understand the joke swab they do. I know people like that. But if you really want to shake things up, and I know this might also be a little crazy to say, God rest his soul, Norm Macdonald, the only anchor we have that is, I'm not going to say he's like Norm Macdonald, but the closest we have to Norm Macdonald in 2022 is Michael Che. If you have him on that weekend update desk alone, jokes just straight to the camera. The amount of tweets that are going to be sent to SNL's Twitter account is astronomical. If you don't believe me, rewatch that one joke. Well, you can rewatch a lot of jokes. Rewatch that one joke this past week about International Women's Day, and then tell me if you can't imagine 12 minutes of update of those jokes in a succession.
So I think that's a very, very interesting idea, and I think that's something that could very well happen if that's what SNL wants and that's what Che wants. Now, what I would say is it's very clear that Jost and Che feel much more invigorated during the Trump years of Weekend Update. I mean, they hit a gold mine, right? Like there was unbelievably every single week there was things that you couldn't believe were going to happen. And if we want to talk about the years that there were some real problems with SNL, with them bringing in cameos and all this criticisms you've heard many times over the last few years, there wasn't a lot of criticisms for Weekend Update. I mean, Weekend Update was really on fire a lot of weeks over the, throughout the mid 40s. And I think that when it came to the Biden years, of course, there was the pandemic, all the pandemic stuff, but there isn't as much fodder there for them to attack. And I think that that's probably where you get some more, as Ken said, phoning it in a little bit. I do think that not getting a joke swap at Christmas was really damaging to the overall perception of Weekend Update this year. But I still think that Jost and Che are, some of the, one of the best pairings that we've had in the history of SNL. And I would like to see if they can, really bring it for the rest of the season. Because I don't know that I would say that they're phoning it in, but I would certainly understand the perception of them phoning it in this season.
Yep. And they, we can go back maybe next year, maybe next season, 2 seasons from now. I would like to see a one anchor Weekend Update. Again, it's been a long time since, but yeah, it's been a while. I can see that and just see how it goes again and see if we need to, they go, we need those two to play off each other. So we need two people up there. So
for sure. And like our friend South Boss in the chat, he brings up the Sarah roasting Colin Jost thing. Probably the best moment on Weekend Update this season. So I definitely think something to explore. I think it's a very interesting question, Ken, so I'm happy that you did ask it. I think it's something we'll probably review as we head towards the end of the season. Okay, let's enter our weekly segment, the Aristotle screen time discussion. So this question comes from a huge Aristotle fan, Monette. Monette asks, why do you think the Kyle Weekend Update piece was what got on air when the reception seemed to be that it was mediocre, when Aristotle's Weekend Update piece seemed to have a very positive reception in dress, but didn't get on? Also, how do you still have hope for him, John? So let me just fill in the listeners who are not aware of the situation, because the twists and turns on this saga with Aristotle on SNL have changed a little bit in the last week. So this week we did find out that Aristotle was going to be on Weekend Update. He was supposed to play, he did this in dress, and he was supposed to play his character, Mr. Milos, that we saw during the Willem Dafoe episode, during that tenants meeting sketch. And he was going to play him on Weekend Update. He got cut at dress rehearsal. And instead, we obviously had the two features that were on this week, Alex Moffat as Terry Fink and Kyle Mooney as Dan Bulldozer, which was, mostly not well regarded. And so the major question here is like, why did that happen when we would love to see more from Aristotle? The next twist that we saw on Instagram, and I didn't bring this up in the social media segment because I knew it would come up now, was there was an Instagram post, I think yesterday, from Aristotle talking about the things that could have happened. And it was a picture of him in a cut sketch from this week. And that cut sketch was called Press Day. This was a sketch about the Batman that he was dressed up as, I think it was Ronald McDonald. And then also him dressed up as Mr. Milos from Dress. And now this takes an interesting turn, guys, because now we have Aristotle actually commenting on him not getting screen time on air. Is this a good thing? Is this not? Ike, let me start with you. What are your thoughts?
It's very, I don't want to say concerning, because he had a very strong first half of the season, so it's not like he's never been on television. I don't know. The the Kyle segment, I'm telling you right now, I did not like that at all. In fact, I would go as far as to say when I was on this show last time, I told you Kyle had to grow on me. This is something I could have seen Kyle do back when he first started, and I was just like, why do they keep putting this guy on TV? This is not funny. This I don't know what the heck's going on here. And I don't want to be that guy because I like Kyle now, but it's like, what are we doing here? Like, we have and who knows? Maybe the Aristotle thing may not have worked. Comedy is subjective, but I just find it weird that you put something like what Kyle did in Update, and then potentially something that was good in Aristotle, you put on the bench. Now, I will say it. I know I'm kind of off topic here. I'm less concerned about Aristotle at this point than I am Punky. I'm like, besides her one cameo in Amazon Go, I have not seen Punky on this show in a long time. And I don't know if it's COVID related or what. Maybe she can't get nothing on. Maybe she's having trouble finding people to write for her. But I'm more concerned over Punky's time on the show as opposed to Aristotle. I think Aristotle they'll find something for Aristotle, to sum it up for you.
I agree. I mean, that's what I've been advocating for as well. Brendan, let me get your thoughts before I give mine.
I just like to think about that false rumor that said that he punched.
Okay, no,
that's so funny every time. But yeah, everyone wants to see more of the new people, and then when we got Kyle's appearance on there, that was my least favorite part of the episode, and I think that was a lot of people would agree that it was not very good. I was disappointed. Like I said, I'm also a fan of Kyle and all the stuff he does. I didn't get the reference at all. I had to look it up later. He does sound like the guy with the voice modulator. I thought that was pretty clever, actually. But and then he had the big muscles and stuff. Some of this could have been really funny, but I didn't think didn't work out. It happens.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's it. It didn't work out. If it would have worked out, no one would have really been saying anything except for the part that, hey, they had to cut Aristotle. And if this one had worked out, they would have said, oh, it's a bummer that Aristotle was cut for time, but at least Kyle got on TV, which is something that people have been saying for a while, that, hey, Kyle's not on TV. And now
Kyle's having a good season, though.
I know he's having a really good season now. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I look, I still have hope for him, to answer Monette's question directly. I think first year cast members are often very well, unused. I mean, I'm saying the same thing I said last week, but basically, like, I think in a first year, you have to, give a little bit more slack in terms of the direction. They're not really sure how Aristotle fits into everything. Now, the major question I'm sure all of you are asking is, how do you know how Aristotle fits if you don't actually put him on the live show? Mm-hmm. That's a question that I can't answer. I definitely do get concerned when you see a cast member posting on social media about their lack of airtime on the show. Now, saying all of that, Melissa Villasenor has done that many times. She's still at the show. So does Lauren, and producers actually care. I don't know. I guess my real thought on this whole situation is this is sort of not that different than anything that has happened like throughout its show. And we can talk about the problems that are wrong with SNL. But if you go back to the start of the show, if social media was around at the times when, it was seasons 2, 3, 4, and Lorraine Newman and Garrett Morris were barely on the show for episodes at a time, I would think that social media would be outcrying then. And, maybe Lorraine would be posting something on Instagram about it. So I think even when there was 7 cast members, there was always people getting less airtime or more airtime. It sort of reminds me, I know not everybody's a sports person, but it reminds me very much of like the guy who's on the bench complaining about not getting enough time during a basketball game or a football game, whatever it is. It's like, hey, coach, put me in. And I just think we just got to keep pushing it. As an audience, we have to keep pushing for Aristotle to get in there, supporting him, especially as as a minority as well, some diversity on the show. I think that is extremely important, that we continue to advocate for stuff like that. So it's not necessarily to take away from the people that are getting screen time, but it's to encourage, people like Punky and people like Aristotle to keep going and to keep pushing forward, because the last thing we want is for somebody like Aristotle to just be like, the show isn't right for me. We don't want Aristotle to walk away from the show. So I think we just got to continue to show support to somebody like him. let me take this question, which is in line with what we're talking about. And this question is from Blood Meridian, who is in the chat with us tonight. Blood Meridian says, what's the matter with Aristotle's extreme lack of airtime and him getting cast mostly in background and straight roles? Why did Sarah, whom I'm loving this season, get chances, especially with the great Meatballs pre-tape, which is a sign of confidence in her, and not Aristotle? So it's a little bit of a pivot from what we were talking about, where it comes to now talking about, before it was James Austin Johnson, and then a separation, and it was Sarah and Aristotle. Now it's James and Sarah, and now there's a huge separation to Aristotle. So, Ike, any opinion you would like to add here?
I gotta be honest with you. This is the one question on this list I'm a little stumped at. Now, I'm not picking favorites at all. I feel like Sarah has, because the big storyline early on in the season is Sarah's got this distinct voice, and it's not being used on the show because they're afraid. Or can they go this grotesque? Should they not? They seem to have found that lane, but I can tell they're still trying to figure it out. They're close, but I feel like they're still trying to figure it out. So I feel like they're resorting to her being like the loud, like, "Hey, this just it," whatever she does on update. So they're trying to figure it out. So I don't know if I have an answer to that, as opposed to if I had to guess, and I don't know how to say this. Maybe it's because Sarah has sort of a presence about her where it's like, oh, you need to watch what she's about to say and do. Not to say Aristotle doesn't, but Aristotle's more of I feel like a character actor. He more blends into his characters, where Sarah is more like, oh no, she has a live mic. What's about to happen? It's more of the unpredictability, I feel, that is bringing people closer to Sarah. But honestly, I don't have a clear answer to that.
Okay, Brendan, what about you?
Yeah, I like what he said about how Aristotle can play more of like a regular guy, but there's been parts where you can absolutely see that Aristotle has the like easy ability to do like an interesting character like that, where like there's parts of me that say, oh, they need Aristotle. Do you want to put Aristotle in the sketch? Here, put him in these 5 different characters. He fits in any of these 5 characters. You put Sarah in one of the sketches. She's the one character that's going to be Sarah that does that. I like what Ike is saying about that. I will put it out here right now that I am in the minority here that isn't the biggest fan. It sounds bad. I'm not the biggest fan of her update, of her 2 update appearances. But I have nothing against Sarah. I think she's very good, and I agree she's having a really good season as a newbie. It's just the update ones are good, but there's been a lot I've liked more. It's not the highest of highs, but they're very good. That's where I am.
Yeah, I would say, just to piggyback on it, I think the reason, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I feel like the reason you probably didn't like it is because the 2 times we've seen it, it was the exact same thing. They didn't change up anything.
Yeah.
If any, you could literally put those 2 weekend update segments together, and it's literally just one long drawn out feature. And that's not an attack on Sarah, but it's just like, I just feel like if you're gonna have Sarah on update, just have her do just different stuff. Even people like Pete and Leslie Jones, whenever they were on update, they had the whole stand-up thing, but it was always something different every single time. They had their little beats they would hit beat by beat, but it was something different. Whereas opposed to Sarah, it was just literally the same thing, just stretched out.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
and let me give a little bit of like a insight into the Lauren Holt thing the best I can, because a lot of people are making comparisons to Aristotle and Lauren from last season. Lauren had a different trajectory. Lauren was brought on the show, and a lot of people, even though it wasn't really nice to do, a lot of people were saying that she was there to replace 80, who wasn't in the show at the start of the season. And Lauren actually did end up taking a lot of those roles, whether we liked it or not, including Pence's wife, I believe. So she was having some screen time. What I was told about Lauren was that, her lack of screen time was not the reason that she was removed from the show. I believe that it had more to do with the chemistry behind the scenes in terms of her ability to work with some of the writers feeling comfortable enough to write for her and stuff. And she wasn't a problem. This wasn't like a Garofalo situation. This was a situation where it wasn't working out in terms of the range of Lauren Holt with what the direction of the show is. Is it possible that Aristotle is in that position? I don't know. But what I could say is that here's our hard evidence. I have my notes in front of me. Okay. Aristotle was in 3 things last week. 2 of them didn't make it to live. But what we do know is that the writers decided, in the case of Word Search, who wrote that one right here? Wrong paper. Where is it? There you go. Word Search. Celeste Diem, Allison Gates, Andrew Dismukes decided, hey, we're going to put Aristotle as one of the contestants in our sketch. It could have been anybody. Okay. Yep. But they put Aristotle in it. I didn't get to see the press day sketch, but for whatever reason, Aristotle was in it. He was in character. Okay. 1 million people want to get a spot on Update. Aristotle was one of 3 people who made it to dress rehearsal. So I don't know that the symptoms here are the same as what we're seeing last year, because what I'm seeing is he's just getting to the line. He's just not crossing it yet.
Yep.
That's kind of where I feel like there's a difference.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I'm less concerned about Aristotle and more of the people we really haven't seen. I'm looking for Punky. I'm looking at, Heidi is a little kind of in the show, but not really. Like the people, I just feel like Aristotle shouldn't. If you're an Aristotle fan, you shouldn't have anything to worry about.
I like what you're saying, Ike. Yep. I like what you're saying.
Yeah, we got 6 more episodes to figure this out. It'll be figured out. And look, if the people, the listeners of the podcast, you listen to me talk about SNL 3 times a week, trust me on this, there is hope for him. So I'm not saying it's going to be over, but I think there's hope for him.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to our next question. Brendan, you want to read this next one from Tran?
Yeah, let me find it. Do you think Kyle Mooney is nearing the end of his run on SNL? Let's see. First thing I have to say is I really liked his Netflix show, the Saturday Morning All-Star Smash Hits. I thought that was, or All-Star Hits. It was very funny. I liked his movie, Brigsby Bear, that he did with other SNL writers, I believe. I like Kyle on the show, and I think he can do a lot of stuff outside the show as well. But he's having a very good year this year on SNL. If him showing up so much this year changes his mind, that he goes, yeah, I can stay another year or 2, I'd be fine with that. If this is his last year where he's going all out being in sketches so he can end on a really good year, I would not be surprised if that's his plan as well.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, he's been in, just by my count, 43 sketches this season. So that's in line with A.D. Bryant, who's at 44, Mikey Day, who's at 44, Andrew Dismukes is also at 44. Then you kind of go up a little bit. I mean, Cecily's in 43, but she missed some episodes. Yeah. Heidi has been in 48. Chris has been in 50. Keenan at 59. But what I'm saying is that, we spent many, many years talking about how Kyle Mooney was, not in a lot, and he's been in a good amount of roles this year. I think he's respected. I think, removing Beck from the equation and him being experienced makes him more respected in terms of like, oh, I want to find a way to get this experienced cast member into my sketch. Ike, what are your thoughts? Do you think that Kyle's heading towards the end of his career at SNL?
Well, Kyle is an interesting character for me because he's one of those cast members. If you take him out of SNL, I don't really know where else you put him in, really. And I mean that in the best possible way. I have had this idea for about many years, about a few years now. And I don't know if this means anything much anymore because late night television has changed so much over the past just 5 years, and I have this idea. Whenever Seth Meyers decides not to host late night anymore, I'm wondering, could you put Kyle into that seat? Now, obviously, he's not going to host the same show several. No, wait a minute. No, don't do that to me, John. Hold on a second. Hear me out. You put Kyle into that 12:30 spot at NBC, which was founded on some weird comedy. You're going to tell me you can't put Kyle into that seat that was founded by David Letterman and Conan O'Brien? Are you going to tell me right now that Kyle doesn't deserve to be on there?
I would bet anything that Kyle, I mean, I love Kyle Mooney. I think he's probably the nicest guy if you met him, and I don't think there is a chance that he would be given a late night talk show on NBC. I just don't think he's like he's just like kind of not like he's not like Seth or Jimmy. Like I can't imagine Kyle interviewing people. Like I don't I'm sorry, I don't see it.
Well, it's like it's almost like NBC leaning almost into that Adult Swim almost, where it's like you can't obviously do the show like a standard talk show. We're not going to do that, but it's something to the, I want to say Eric Andre, but not Eric Andre. It's the closest thing NBC can get to Eric Andre if they did. Now, I'm not saying they will, and they probably won't. But if you're going to ask me where I could see Kyle go after SNL, it's got to be something that experimental. I don't see him doing I don't see him leading a romantic comedy or any of that stuff. I see him doing something totally just artistic and just something totally out there. And if Lauren, if you're watching this, just take my idea and put it in the back of your files, okay? Let's get it done somehow.
Okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk about by the way, I do want to answer the question from Tran. Do I think Kyle Mooney's nearing the end of his run on SNL? I actually don't know. I really don't know. I do think that it's Kyle's choice. If he wants to leave, he's going to go. If he wants to stay, he's going to stay. I think that he's been given that privilege at this point to make that choice for himself. And I definitely think that it depends on how his enjoyment of the show has been this season, away from not having Beck Bennett at the show. So I think a lot of these guys and women at the show will also decide, in August or September at that point what they want to do, if they want to come back and if they want to focus on family things. Okay, this question is from @Charlie_AB0104. Which cast member in general do you feel has the longest weekend update features? I assume this means in terms of time. Do you find that Brennan, anyone stand out to you?
Here's a joke for you. Oh boy, that Baby Yoda one, that's a long one right there. But I read this question. I just scrolled through some I saw, and some of them feel really long, and none of them hit that 5-minute mark. One that I saw that actually hit that 5-minute mark when scrolling through was Kate McKinnon's Doctor We Notice, and that's a long one right there. It's over 5 minutes long. Yeah, I don't know what I can say for long lasting ones as over time how long they've done that, because they can come back at any time, where it's you haven't seen this character for 5 years, just bring it back. But in length of how long they're talking for, that was one of the only ones I scrolled through the last 3 seasons. That's one of the only ones I found that was over 5 minutes long. So
yeah, Kate's are very long. I think if you go back in the history of the show, probably you'd have to go back to Bill Murray's Oscar picks. Those are
great
long.
One. Yep.
Yeah, those are very long. Ike, anyone stands out to you for very long weekend update features?
I've never thought of that. I just thought about some a few minutes ago. One that stood out. Well, there's two. I don't even think the first one's even long. There was this one where Jesse Jackson, played by Daryl Hammond, and Keenan played Al Sharp. You know what I'm talking about, Brennan?
Yep.
The one where I think Obama, I think, was announcing his run, and they were comparing his blackness to other black celebrities. Now, I don't know the exact length of that, but it felt long, because there's this one part in the middle where Daryl is just doing the whole Jesse Jackson mannerisms, and the crowd is just eating it up, and it takes a minute for him to get back to the bit. I don't know the exact length of that, but that felt long. The only one I can think of is Bill Hader's last episode where he plays Stefan. I think they did the regular Stefan, rigmarole, and then Stefan leaves, and then Seth goes after him to the wedding chapel, or it was a long one. I think that was maybe 5, 6, maybe 8 minutes, because that closed the segment. Yep. So those are the only two I can think of, but I've never thought of that one.
Okay. Let's take this question from Mary Trina. Mary would like to know, the last 3 musical guests have had 3 very different styles, and that was LCD Sound System, Charlie XCX, and this week's musical guest, Rosalia. Who has been your favorite musical guest this season? Ike, can I start with you on this one?
I wish you didn't, because I am so behind on today's music, John. It's not even funny. I didn't even know about Billie Eilish when I saw that episode, really. So
That's okay.
I mean, yeah, we've had cool. Rosalina was cool. I'll give you that. You know, I don't really mess unless it's someone I really like. I don't really mess with the musical performances much. You know, I do. I would like to see more rappers. That's the only thing I can give you.
Yeah, I think we had Young Thug this season, but that would be it. Yeah, I think Brendan, I'll get your answer in a second. I mean, I did enjoy Ed Sheeran. I did enjoy Charlie XCX on the show. I think that for me personally, I know that this is a little bit controversial, at least as far as some of our listeners that I get to hear from is concerned. Personally, I did enjoy Taylor Swift on the show. I thought that music performance was absolutely epic, and I'm a little bit of a secret Swiftie, so I think that that was really cool, and definitely an all-timer in terms of a performance on the show. Brennan, you are a music buff, so what are your thoughts on your favorite musician of the season? And I know you had some other stuff you wanted to share.
Yep. So my favorite musical guest this season starts with a B, and then it starts with a B. It was Bleachers. It was actually Bleachers. Was actually my favorite.
There's a lot of B's. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's not a joke. But yeah, Bleachers was actually my favorite. They didn't play the 2 songs I thought they were. I've seen them live. I'm going to talk about this for a little bit, but I've seen a lot of performers that have performed on SNL live. Concerts are like my second or third big thing that I really like to do. I like to watch a lot of movies. I like to go to a lot of concerts, and then I guess I'll just say, the third favorite thing is SNL. Let's go with that. So Bleachers was my favorite performance this year. It was almost crazy that we did not almost get them, because Roddy Ricch was originally in that spot before he had to pull it with COVID. So I'm glad a lot of people got to see Bleachers for who they are, because they are really, really talented and a really, really cool band. But yeah, Taylor Swift is probably my number 2 this year. No contest. That 10-minute performance of her song was so good. And then I thought Billie Eilish was really good. I really liked Måneskin a lot. I'm gonna go like LCD Sound System. That was a big plus for me. I was a big fan of that one. I know a lot of people were not big on that one, but I really enjoyed that one. Yeah, Casey Musgraves was also good. I'm not a big country person, but big fan of them as well. So I'm going to list off some SNL people that I've seen perform live because of their appearances on SNL. So I've seen Fred Armisen perform comedy live because he was on the show. I've seen Seth Meyers as well. I have also seen The Lonely Island live in one of their only live tours. That was really, really a cool experience. They did a really good job. And speaking in terms, I've seen John Cena live at wrestling. That was awesome. So then he was on SNL, but that's more of a joke one. But Jack White, I've seen multiple times because of his first time I saw him on SNL. That was awesome. Also, Billie Eilish. I just got this Billie Eilish hoodie yesterday when she was in Minneapolis for her Happy Ever After tour. Or I got tickets the day of. They were not super cheap, but it was well worth the price I paid to get a really good seat to see her perform live. She was really good. The week before, I went to see Dua Lipa live. She was really good. Let's go through this really fast. Casey Musgraves I saw in January, who has been on the show multiple times now. Not a big country guy, but the opener she had with her, one of the band was called Muna, which just released another hit that I would like to see them be on SNL. King Princess was the other opener. They've performed on SNL before. St. Vincent, who's been on SNL multiple times. I've seen her live. I saw her last fall. Phoebe Bridgers, same. Oh boy. Machine Gun Kelly, that's a interesting one. Just that was kind of a on the whim thing. Pretty enjoyable though. Hosier, Foster the People, some fun ones like that. And two other short things. There's been 3 performers that I've beat to the SNL stage. I saw Dave Chappelle live before he was on SNL. Courtney Barnett I saw live before she did musical guested with Fred Armisen episode in 2016. And then Bleachers was the third one there, who I saw perform a few months before they were on SNL, this previous one. And if I could see one of the most recent concerts I've been to, see any new band come out to be on SNL, I'd like to see the performer Mitski sometime this year, who's just released a really good album, and maybe one more would be, let's go with Lucy Dacus, who's another good indie artist that both would be a pretty good appearance on.
Yeah, Lucy
SNL.
Jason Sudeikis.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me just say real quickly. I saw Drake a year before he hosted SNL.
Hey, let's go.
And then I saw Adam Sandler. He was in Tinley Park, and that was months after he had hosted SNL. And let me tell you, hearing that Chris Farley tribute live, it's real emotional, man. You have no idea.
For sure. I think obviously different. It's tough to talk about music on the podcast. I know that a lot of people always ask like, oh, why didn't you talk about the musical guests more and evaluate it? Because, music is so subjective. Obviously people love different genres and stuff like that. So, I'm always happy to tell the listeners my answers to which musical guest I enjoyed or not, but I am definitely not an authority on who was the best musical performer on SNL or not, even though I am definitely a big music fan. But I think that we can all agree, as Brennan is listing out, the different musicians that he's gone to see, that we can all look forward to getting back to some live music happening more around these times. So SNL is a great tease for all of that for anybody who's missed that in the last couple of years. Okay. This question from Jocelyn Sandal said, when is SNL back from break? So SNL didn't announce this, but they're going to be back on April 2nd. They'll be 3 weeks, then they'll be 2 weeks off, and then they'll be back for 3 weeks after that. Our next question comes in from Jonathan Mark, and Jonathan asks, who would you like to see host in April? So this is always a fun question. Brendan, Ike, I know you guys prepared your list. Chad, you can give us a couple of people as well. So Ike, do you want to go first on this one?
Oh, I've been waiting for this question, man. Okay, so these are in no particular order. Lauren, all y'all can organize this any way you want to. But if it were up to me, and I base this list off of upcoming projects, so there's always a connection here. So these are my 3. Okay, so keeping with the trend of first timers, Better Call Saul is doing the last season in April. I think it is time we have Bob Odenkirk in Studio 8H. I think it's time. I know he had a health scare not too long ago, but I feel like, with Conan coming back during the 5-timer sketch, and I just get a vibe that we could see him. We also have Barry coming back, so I think it's time. We haven't seen Bill Hader at SNL in a while. I think it's time he hosted for the 3rd time. Also, Lynn's Robinson, who's in our group, she suggested that too. So we both thought the same thing. And this last one, again, this might be out there, and I know some SNL fans weren't too happy with his constant appearances during the election year, but seeing as Sonic 2 is coming out this month, I think we should have Jim Carrey. I think it's time Jim came back, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, we had enough of Jim Carrey. We had enough of Jim Carrey as Biden. We didn't really see Jim play around with this new generation of SNL cast members we have. So I think him coming back to host would be that. I'd like to see that, honestly, in April.
Okay. Brennan, do you have a list yourself?
I had all 3 of those people on my list as well. So yeah, I created a list myself, and those reasonings, all 3 of those reasons were actually on there as well. So yeah, Jim Carrey can absolutely host for Sonic, Bill Hader for Barry, and Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul. But I just picked a couple big ones from the movies coming out next. Like we have, first off, I'll do the Oscar pick. I'd love to see Kristen Stewart come back after winning the Oscar. We talked about this earlier too. Will Smith would be a great host, especially after he will probably win the Best Actor at the Oscars this year. It probably won't happen but I think I know it won't happen because I don't think a lot of people like him. But if Sony wants to get someone on to host, they can get Jared Leto for Morbius upcoming first week of April. Benedict Cumberbatch can host for Doctor Strange. Jake Gyllenhaal has a new movie coming out. I'd love to see Nick Cage host for his new movie coming out where he plays himself. I think that'd be great. Tom Cruise could be the season finale if he wants to host for Top Gun. Ewan McGregor can host for Obi-Wan Kenobi. A few women I got on my list are Natasha Lyonne for Russian Doll and Julia Gardner for Ozark. John C. Reilly's got a new show, the Lakers show, and then if I got to put a SNL cast member on there, let's just put Bobby Moynihan host because he's in Mr. Mayor. Let's go with that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. We do have a question here from Amanda Brower. She said her guesses for April are Nicole Byer, John Cena, and Zendaya. So those are all options, obviously ones that we've discussed as well. Yep. Yeah, for sure. So I know that there are a lot of rumors going around about the hosts for April as if, they've already been booked. As far as I have been told so far, and, generally we've been pretty good and factually correct with this information. I have been told that the hosts are not booked yet for April. So, maybe some people have been broached, but don't take anything as don't write it in cement yet as far as who's going to be there in April.
Can I throw a wild card at you?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's thinking of this. And if you are a true SNL nerd. They just released a Netflix trailer for what looks like a series starring Mike Myers.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I like it. I like where you're going.
I'm not saying April, maybe not April, but at least as we get closer to the season finale, tell me you do not want to see Mike Myers come back and host SNL. John, I know you're in Canada. Please pull up on Mike Myers and bring him to New York.
No problem, my man. I would love to see Mike come back and host the show. So that would be really fun. He's hosted before. I mean, it would be really great to see him again. Definitely wouldn't mind that. So that would be great. For me, I'm not really the one to make host pick predictions. I kind of just evaluate it as it is. So I think we'll be a little bit patient with this stuff, and I'm thinking we will get our answers. I don't think we'll get them this week. I think we'll get them next week at some point. So that would be my guess as to who would be hosting in April. But it should be a lot of fun. I mean, I'm excited to see what we're going to get in these next three as we head towards the end of the season. Brennan, any last thoughts on SNL so far that you would like to bring up tonight?
I'm very, very high on this season so far. Hasn't been an episode I really disliked. There's been parts I disliked of every episode, but nothing that I would say was a deal breaker for making it a bad episode. These last three episodes, really good run, especially probably I'll just say best 3-episode run of the season for me personally. I'd like to see what we can do with the last 2-3 blocks we have, if they're at this level or just under this level. I mean, what a brilliant season this could be.
100%. Ike, wrap it up for us. What are your final thoughts? Well, we almost at the end now. We just got, April and then May. These are when the shows start getting really they cementing themselves. So, I don't know what to expect from SNL anymore, to be honest with you. We could have cast members still on the show for eons, but I'm sure whatever they put on TV, we're gonna talk about it, whether we love it or dislike it. We're gonna have something to talk about. So I'm real excited to see what these fine people at Studio 8H have up their sleeves.
Me too. I'm very excited. And I, of course, appreciate everybody who sent in their questions for these patron feedback shows. These have been some of the most fun shows that we've done the entire season. And I'm excited to bring on more patrons and do this for the rest of the season. So for what's coming here on the SNL podcast, obviously the SNL Network podcast, obviously things are slowing down just a little bit as we get ready for April. So, but we do have some fun shows coming up. So I just want to notify you about those shows. Next Monday night, we will be back with our By the Number show. So if you are a stats person, we mentioned some of them tonight, we're going to break down the stats even more. One of the fun things I talked to Mike about this week was we were having a debate about a couple things. We were talking about how the men on the cast do when there's a woman host, how the women on the cast do when there's a male host. Mike's going to come in with those numbers because we want to look at what happens and the differences between how those cast members are booked in terms of screen time throughout the night when there's a male versus female host. I think that's an interesting conversation that we're going to talk about on Monday night, among other things, including updating the power rankings. So look forward to that and join us on Monday with Mike, Nicole, and potentially another special guest. The following week, I mentioned this on the roundtable, but what we are going to do is we are going to have our superfan takeover, and we are going to do the all-time SNL catchphrase bracket. And this time, we're going to have you, the listeners, submit your favorite catchphrases. We're going to seed them from 1 to 32, and then we're going to pick the ultimate SNL catchphrase. Okay? Ike, Brennan, do you guys have a pick? Is there any SNL catchphrase stand out to you for the bracket?
Oh boy.
You go first, Brennan.
This is cheating. This is cheating. This isn't a catchphrase, but no.
All right, give us
I'm not even gonna say it. Because
all right. Ike, you got one.
All right. Bring it on down to somethingville. Anything. I don't care if it's Omeleteville. I don't care if it's Liquorville. I don't care anything. If that is not on this list, I am gonna unsubscribe to this YouTube channel, brother.
Well, don't do that. All right, so don't do that. But what I would say is that the 32 bracket will be submitted. Don't blame John, okay? John's not choosing the catchphrases. We're going to have people submit the catchphrases, and the top 32 voted will be in the bracket, okay? So that's what's going to be happening. We're going to have all the super fans. I'll be on the show. We're going to vote and go through the bracket and pick the ultimate SNL catchphrase. So maybe bring it on down to Omeleteville. We'll be there. We will see. All right? So that will be a lot of fun. So that's what's coming up. And of course, we'll be back with our SNL coverage as we get the news for April. Okay. Brennan, please tell the listeners where they can follow everything you're doing.
Yeah, I'm Keller B57 on Instagram and Twitter. Don't follow me on Reddit because that literally does not matter. I don't see anyone that follows me or anything. But if you're interested in, it's a useless feature on Reddit. But yeah, user BJKman on Reddit. I normally hang out in some football subreddits. I hang out in the SNL subreddit, and then every now and then a couple movie subreddits. Same for television. There's nothing weird on there. Don't worry about that. I'm not one of the weird Redditors. I'm pretty tame, so that's good for a lot of people. So r/live from New York. That's the SNL subreddit. Go check that out. Good discussions all the time. A lot more Pete Davidson discussions than we're used to right now, but whatever, it happens. So
for sure, he'll be up in space soon, so you won't even have to talk about him. Won't be on this planet. Ike, please tell the listeners where they can reach out to you.
I'm most active on Twitter and Instagram under @BallisticIkeMoore. You know, I just give comedy, a little bit of inspiration to you all, and so just check me out on there. Getting ready to make some new comedy material of my own soon, so look out for that during the summertime. And always a pleasure to be on this podcast, my friend.
Yes, of course. Thank you, friends. Always great to talk to you, Brennan and Ike, and everybody in the chat. If you have enjoyed this show and you're like, hey, I would like to submit a question for the patron feedback show, those go out on Tuesdays, our forums, so you can submit those questions to get them in on the show. You can find those on social media, either in our Instagram stories and on Twitter. Okay, make sure to follow us on social media. You know where to do it: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the SNL Network. You can find me at John Schneider24 for all of our shows. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, and please leave a review if you are kind enough to do so. All right, for Brennan, Ike, and myself, John, from the SNL Network, we will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.